Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome on stage for our next panel, Mr. Austin Tobin and Mr. Johnny Coombs from Abu Crypto. Both part of the development team and more than comfortable to talk you through our journey here tonight. And also, I would like to introduce Mr. Steve Bambury, a metaverse, NFT, and Web3 consultant, also a VR specialist here in Dubai. Steve, welcome on stage. Thank you so much, sir.
Johnny, talk us through the start of Abu Crypto, that collaboration of three people. Who were you? Why did you need the three and your roles within Abu Crypto?
Yeah, so welcome everyone, and thanks for coming down. In terms of Abu Crypto and where it started, we're best friends, and we started from a love of crypto. We had an investment sort of pot that we talk about, Ethereum, Solana, the latest coins coming out, and then this sort of NFT craze started coming out. So we started to investigate it. We went down and had a coffee, and that's where the initial concept came from Abu Crypto. Lots of different influences. My wife, in terms of the name and the Arabic family and the idea behind it. All of us have sort of put in to build Abu Crypto. This is our third event. We want to host live events in terms of our utility, and I think we'll talk about utility later on. But in terms of our roles, we didn't have a role to start with. We just immersed ourselves in building an NFT, and our roles sort of emerged and evolved as we went through. So someone became really good at communicating and our social media side of things, and really taught himself there, and I think that was Rob and his personality and his outgoing side. I think everyone that's probably met Rob in the room here can see he's got that infectious personality, and he was then our front end.
Infectious is the right word, yes?
Yes. And then Austin knew everything, and he was imparting us all sorts of knowledge in terms of what coins to buy. And we'd buy one of Austin's coins, and then we'd have $2,000 extra in our wallet the next day, and we were like, what's going on? This guy's a genius.
That's why I'm retired.
And that's where Austin came through, and then Austin has a very he's the sort of glue that sticks us together in terms of the tech. And then I needed to find myself a role quick, or I was losing out in this partnership. So then I've got a sort of a logistics background and quite organised in the things I did. So I took the business side of things and building out the business and the logistics and building events like this. And I do love a spreadsheet and a list. And that was really useful in building the project. And that's how we started and evolved. And we're here now with a wonderful community. I've just seen two of the guys that were at our first event. They're wearing our Abu Crypto hoodies. They're now building their own project, and they've got things going on in the space. It's just a wonderful space to be, and these events like this it's about community, and it's about almost a family that we're building now, and it's really growing and fantastic. So we're really happy to be here.
That's amazing. And in terms of tech, can you tell us a little bit about? Can we actually get just a quick definition of PFP or avatar projects? What are these ones? And then can we go through like the bare minimum to start a project like this?
Sure. PFP NFTs are basically profile pictures. You see them on Twitter and all the rest. And now with Twitter Blue going premium, they'll actually give you a blue tick mark showing that you own the NFT. The basic principle comes down to rarities or attributes, which are layers, and they're usually background colors, mustaches, pipes, like the ones you see with us. Or in the fine art world, they're just a single layer. So the rarity's gone. But with the PFP, you're getting much more depth in that. And on the basic level of creating them or understanding them, you can just simply upload any image to OpenSea, and on that moment, there's your PFP profile picture. It's for sale if you want it. Yeah. We'll get in more depth in the next question.
Okay. Steve.
Hello.
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 Preparation for launching my first PFP or avatar projects. What are some of the things that I need?
I had worked previously with a young artist whose family I've known for a number of years. She was live on stage with me a couple of years ago when she was 11 doing virtual reality art at the World Trade Center. So I showed her NFTs, got her into NFTs, and helped her launch her first project. Now, the first project she launched was a one-on-one project. That was very simple, you know. All she had to do was, you know, set up a Twitter account. She wasn't using Twitter. She's, you know, she was 12 at the time. She's on Instagram, but I said to her, look, you've got to have a Twitter account.
So Twitter is one of the first things that you need for
100%.
launching. Yeah.
I'm not a developer. So, you know, that become the next piece of the puzzle, was finding someone that could do the development side of it.
After the project was created and you had the number of pieces, launching the project, what were some of the things that you had to think about before you launched?
Community really has to be at the top of that list. If you think that you can, you know, you can go on YouTube now and there's videos from people saying, look, how to make a 10K project in 15 minutes. Fantastic. You can go and drop your 10K project.
Unless you have utility, unless you have a community around it.
Nobody's going to know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, does it make a sound? If you launch an NFT project and nobody knows, nobody's going to buy it.
Yeah.
And that is exponentially more true now than it was in September when Yasmin launched her project, because the volume of projects being released on a weekly, daily, hourly basis now is ridiculous. It's massive.
Okay, while we're on the point of utility, I'm going to come back to you, Johnny, and tell me a little bit about utility for Abu Crypto.
Yeah, so utility for us was huge, and growing our utility out was a bit of a trial and error method for us, and we had a roadmap at the start, and the first thing that we wanted to do was stay strong to our roadmap, fulfill everything at every cost, even if we put everything that we'd taken into the project back into the project just to grow and fulfill. And I think for us, the first utility was naming ourselves, because there's so many projects that are not named. There's no faces behind the project, and I think that builds the trust, that builds the community behind the project. And then our utility was simple. It was live events like this. Our first live event was on the rooftop, and we had maybe 30, 40 people, and now we've got a whole room full of people here at the third Abu Crypto event. So we're always going to have our live events. But people on our Discord were like, well, we're in South America, we're in the UK, how can we access those events? So then giving them access, and we've actually got a Discord moderator that's putting pictures, putting videos through all the time, that we're on a WhatsApp with him. So our community online is also accessing this event. And then it was just fulfilling our roadmap. So in terms of our utility, we're about to drop our first token, which is going to be linked to a play-to-earn game, all in the creation at the minute. And I think staying to that roadmap, engaging with the community, and admitting when you make mistakes. I think we've made some mistakes along the way. We've put our hands up, we've owned those mistakes, and we've grown from them. You know, we did a lot of what we call shilling, which was paying people to advertise your project, and they brought lots of people in, but they weren't involved in buying the project. It was just an extra number on your Discord or your Twitter, which looked good, but then it didn't equate to any sales. So we have made some mistakes along the way, but I think the one thing that we have is built a very strong community that trusts us, and then stays strong to our roadmap, what we said we were going to do at the start, and continue to tick those off on a weekly, monthly, and sort of quarterly basis and that. So I think it's just continuing to grow a project and listening to your community, because sometimes they give you the best advice. No, don't do this, do that. This is what you need to do, and listening to the people on the ground, which is the best sort of advice I could give.
Yeah, because it's a completely different mindset about me just being an artist, just releasing art for people to buy, versus a project where you need to be engaged. Because if you stop being engaged, kind of your value drops if your community drops.
And we've had some
100%.
time where we've been really busy, maybe on the lead up to an event, where we've dropped that engagement with our community, and you can see, you know, the problems start to occur. So I think constant engagement and growing our team. We have people that help us on some of our social medias, because we can't keep up with that communication, but we communicate with those moderators in a WhatsApp group, so they constantly know what's happening. So I think it's about engaging with that community, listening to them, and continuing to build out for some of the things that you promised.
Okay. So assume that I want to start my own PFP project, avatar project.
Yeah.
What are some of the basic things that I need to know?
The base things you need to know to make a large PFP project is three almost coding side of things. It's your art engine, your smart contract, and your minting dApp. Your art engine will allow you to take as many layers as you like, blend them together, and reproduce 10,000 images, all DNA coded, all IPFS coded, where the
What's DNA? What's IPFS?
DNA coded it gives that serial number to that NFT, and that's what makes it unique. The IPFS is what most people don't understand is there's not a lot of data held on the blockchain. Most of it's held off-chain, but only referenced with the smart contract. So our images, the JPEG and the metadata are held on an international file planetary and interplanetary file sharing system. It's held on the web. The image is held on the web. The data is held on the web. But the DNA code or the serialized code is held through the smart contract on the network. And then when OpenSea grabs it, it pings for the data and it shows up. And there's your image. So once you've created your art and you've ran them through and you got your 10,000 pieces, then you need your smart contract. And that simply is a it's a program that exists on the blockchain that self-executes when two conditions exist. More or less, I want to buy your NFT, you engage, you approve the signature, the money transacts, and then instantly it creates an NFT and gives it to your wallet. That's an auto-executing transaction. That's what a smart contract is in a nutshell. So you have to get your smart contract in place, you have your art pieces, and then you go into the minting dApp, which is a decentralized app or a dApp. And basically, all that is a Web3 application. It connects with your MetaMask, and that's what makes it Web3. And then from there, you click buy, and boom, there you go. So that's your 3 steps. Clear as mud.
So, I've come up with the concept.
Yeah.
I've done the 3 steps. I now have my project. What should I expect? I have 10,000 pieces. Am I going to sell them all just because they're NFTs and they're somewhere?
No. Especially
Okay,
not right now.
Not very encouraging. Thanks, Steve.
I think, no, but I do think that it bears mentioning that the date, the time when you release it is very important. You know, the market conditions change dramatically. I've seen projects launch, you know, in December last year when the gas prices were constantly at 300 plus, or November last year even, and not sell out. That if they'd launched 2 months later in January, they would have sold out in 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. And conversely, you know, I've seen it the other way around. I think what's super important is that you have a narrative, that there is a clear narrative. You know, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek's work, the whole golden circle principle, start with the why. So what is your why? Why are you launching this? If the answer to that question is to try and make a load of money, you're probably going to fail. You know, when it came to Yasmin, you know, her narrative, it was very easy to market that narrative. She's a 13-year-old artist launching her project on her 13th birthday. She's partnered with Make-A-Wish Foundation and she's raising money for Make-A-Wish Foundation. She's offsetting all the carbon footprint stuff by planting trees for every one that she sells. There were very clear points to that narrative. And she has that advantage of, you know, being a young artist in the space and obviously following Nyla and the huge success that she'd had. If somebody just, you know, especially again, as I mentioned before, with the amount of carbon copy projects these days and with the amount of rug pull projects these days, people they're not only spoiled for choice, they're becoming more selective in what they invest in. And, you know, I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago called Gas Wars Whitelists, Then What? Or something similar to that. And it was talking about how, you know, we went from having these gas war drops to now everything's about whitelists. And whitelists have been, you know, turned into a commodity.
Can we define whitelists for anyone who does not know what a whitelist is?
So it's like guaranteed access to a drop, pre-sale access to a drop. And, you know, back in September, a whitelist was something that certain projects were doing. Now it's something that every project's doing, whether they need it or not. You know, if a project is a 10K project and they only sell 3,000 and 5,000 people are on the whitelist, something's wrong. The problem is that what's happening these days, and I put my hand up and say I do this myself, is people are using whitelists as a hedge. So if people are, you know, if a project's saying, oh, we've got so many whitelist spots, of course I'm going to try and get that whitelist spot, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to mint that project because whitelists don't mean what they used to. And they really have become commodities. You know, we're now getting to the point where multiple projects are launching whitelist marketplaces where you can buy whitelists. And there was actually, I tweeted just earlier this week, there was a project this week that was openly selling whitelists. Okay, it's saying if you want to get whitelist, you can either jump through all these hoops, or you can send 0.02 Ethereum to this wallet. Now, I'm not saying that that was a scam, but the potential for scams with that, with that approach is horrific. And obviously, I've done a lot of work with Jeremy in terms of scams in the space over the last few months. So seeing that was a massive red flag for me. That was, leave server straight away. You were saying before about, listening to community. Obviously, that's massively important, but I also think that it's important that you are able, as a project founder or a project manager like I was, to identify the authentic voices in the community. Because one of the biggest issues that we have, you see these cycles in Discord again and again and again where, you've got a lot of young people in the space, and you've got a lot of people that are way over invested in the space and are reliant on a project doing a 5, 10x, which is not going to happen, especially during a bear market. So you get, this traditional, path of everyone screaming LFG and all of this kind of stuff, and then instantly it becomes like, oh, right, you need to pay influencers, you need to do this. They start telling you what you need to do. They're basically saying, make me my money. And then the second you aren't doing that, then it becomes FUD, and it becomes, them telling you that you've let them down and stuff like this. And I see it in so many servers, and to be honest, it's why I stopped spending a lot of time in a lot of servers, because you can see the same pattern playing out over and over and over again. And part of the, the whitelisting stuff is part of that problem. It feeds the beast.
I think for us, it was our project to start with. So the first thing we had to do was take the emotion out of it. So it quite hurt having that negative feedback to start with. And that took us 2 or 3 rounds of that to take the hurt away and the emotion, because it was almost like they were hurting part of your family. So when you got away from that emotion, you did then find the members of the Discord and the members of the community that really wanted to give you that proactive feedback that you could actually deal with and build the project, and the people that just wanted to, like you say, try and get their investment back. And why is the floor price so low? So I think working with your community, but working out who are those real legitimate, community members was a really key part, and that was a good point made there. So we've done that the right way and the wrong way, and we've had lots of learning experiences in between.